What is up? Welcome to the post game. This is Matt Dazzi here with Gareth Pickering, and in today's episode, we're going to be talking about bringing sacredness to the mundane. What does that mean, and what are the benefits of taking something as simple as opening up a bank account or getting a new cell phone and bringing sacredness to it? And Gareth, we're going to unpack that today. How are you doing?
Good to be doing a post game with you again. It feels like it's been a while since we did one of these formats of the episode, and I love having conversations with interesting people on the podcast, and we'll share who we've been had on the show recently. But these episodes feel so good; it's like an opportunity for us to record our conversations that are so meaningful to me. And it feels good to be back here. Mint and I just had a 2-week holiday in Mexico with some of the Esta tribe on Dez's boat, which was epic. And it feels
Yeah,
good.
bro, actually, I wanted to double check the measurements on that boat. Did you say it was 30 feet wide?
It's wider. Yeah, it's very wide. It's a cat. 62 feet long and about 30 wide. It's beautiful, man. It's such an epic boat. We had such a beautiful team on the boat, and I fell in love with the Baja Desert again. I spent some time there like 6 or 7 years ago. You remember that little chapter that I did house sitting there? And I didn't get the desert until that trip. And I was like, oh, I see now how beautiful it is. It's like this strong masculine presence, like a lot of silence, these cactuses that just stand in the middle of desert. Like, it's just amazing. And then haven't been back since then. And going back and witnessing and just looking out at the desert from this beautiful yacht with amazing people felt like, I don't know, like a small window in time that just, I don't know, it's weird. It was hard to describe, but it was so beautiful, like a real reset.
Yeah, man. I remember last time you were in the desert, you manifested a rattlesnake. You wanted to have safe interactions with nature, and you came around the corner and saw one. Did you have any interactions with the wildlife this time?
We got out onto the land quite a bit, and we saw a few bugs, but not a rattlesnake. I didn't feel it in my experience the same way I did that day. That story that I'll put the link to that video in the show notes of the episode. But yeah, it was one of our experiments with manifestation, and I was like, I'd like to see a rattlesnake from a safe distance because I've got a snake thing. Yeah, and then went for a run and saw this amazing snake and had this powerful experience with it. But yeah, didn't see snakes, but yeah, the rest of the desert is just so amazing. New moon, so like just loads of stars from the boat. It was breathtaking.
Mm. Yeah, man, I can't think of the last time I was out on a boat. I was just thinking about that. I've got it up on my order board. In fact, the boat that you were sharing photos on is the same style of boat that I have on my order board. And so, yeah, I see some sailing in my future as well.
Well, it's an Esta yacht, so Des and the crew there are wanting to welcome Tribe onto the yacht, and for the experience and what we got out of it, it was just so magical. So if it feels like it's in your future, bro, just reach out to Sunset O and check it out. It's beautiful to be in a space like that as well. Like in addition to having the yacht be so amazing and the desert be so amazing, being around Tribe of people that have like prioritized doing their personal work, it's just easy to be around them. We're in each other's space all day, but all have our own space. We had a pod every single morning where we sat down and shared what was alive with us and got to drop in and own what was up in our experience. And it's like, it seems so simple, but it's just, living together with people that are committed to wanting to live well together. Just, beautiful sort of lifestyle experiments. It's confirmation of how we can live together when we have a shared value system and a well-held container to live together. So it was beautiful, that part as well.
Yeah, the communication framework, like I remember when we have people visit who are ISTA, will do morning circles, and how much easier that makes the day, because when you're struggling with something and you try to keep it inside and pretend like nothing's going on, other people sense it and it creates like this weird energy. And when you drop in and own your shit in a safe container, like everyone can hold you in what you're going through, and it allows you to be more free in a lot of ways. So yeah, I was excited to hear y'all did that.
It's exactly like that. It's like being able to speak into what's alive. When you're living around people and you're committed to making those relationships work, you don't want the other person to be guessing about what's going on for you. Like if you're feeling withdrawn, they start making up stories about why you're withdrawn, when actually I'm just like loving the solitude, for example. But if I can speak into that and say, I'm really loving the solitude, but I also feel like I want to be part of the group, suddenly 3 or 4 people are like, oh fuck, I feel the same thing. You get the chance to really share what's happening. And this is the thing that we've been talking about at the King Circle, and why being able to own what's alive for you and to be able to articulate what's going on for you inside is a superpower that builds trust in relationships. And yeah, the more you do it, the more you practice it, the more you start to create safety with the relationships that matter to you.
Well, man, I had a drop in yesterday or the day before with Gunter, part of our team and a member of the tribe for a while now. And yeah, we started talking about how the tribe, for me especially right now, living in alone, for those of you who aren't paying attention, I'm living in Ecuador on a beach in a tiny village, and I haven't quite found the community here yet. I haven't found like the brothers I want to train with, and yeah, I feel like it's our monthly gatherings online at the King Circle and then our tribe gatherings that's really fueling that for me. And Gunter was reflecting that as well around, yeah, how not everybody has the men that they need around them to be able to drop into vulnerability, to be able to get honest and speak their truth with, and how, yeah, it's just important, man. It's part of our mental hygiene. And if we don't do
Uh-huh.
it, like, life gets harder. That's
Absolutely.
story. I'm in story there.
No, that's exactly what it is, and it's I've created this space, and this is why it is that we're doing what we're doing with these conversations, with the King Circle, with our WhatsApp group, with these connection points for us to be able to build community around us, so that we not only have access to that, because I know how good it is for me to practice that skill of being able to own what's alive for me, but also I would be foolish to believe that I have it all figured out or that I don't have a shadow. And the format of these post games is also an opportunity for you and I to share our own shadow reflection process of where we're holding each other accountable for things that are happening in our lives. Knowing, for example, me knowing what it is that you want to manifest in your life, knowing you as well as I do because of the legacy and time we've spent together, and the reflection process and the personal development journey we've both been on together, that we get to reflect things to one another. That's like, hey, dude, are you watching this? Can you see this part of yourself? And those are the things that I don't see in myself, that I value our friendship so much, that I value our circle so much, that I'm surrounded by people who give a shit about me enough to not just be a yes man, but to call you and say, dude, this doesn't feel like it's aligned. It doesn't
Yeah.
mean I have to take a shadow reflection, but just to be pointed out some certain things that, we only see the world through our own lens. And that creates very different perspectives of the same scenario based on whatever stories you tell. And sometimes we have limiting beliefs or bullshit old stories that could prevent us from calling in the best version of ourselves. And yeah, this post game and our relationship is an important part of that.
Well, part of this post game, what we have on the agenda is to dive into reflection you have for me around a quite mundane task that just took place in my world. Let me give just a quick background. Um, I haven't been on the banking system in the U.S. for maybe 4 years now, maybe 5, and it happened when I've been traveling. I've been nomadic. I've been living outside the U.S. and my funds had dropped down to a level where I was getting overdraft fees on my bank account because it was in the negative, and it was costing me more money to have the account open. And I closed my US bank account. I just said, fuck this. I'm going to operate off of other financial ways that don't involve US banking. And I did that for a while, and it was great. And at the same time, now that I have a family, now that I have more responsibilities, now that different projects like Father, Sons, Brothers and others that I'm working on are cash flowing to me, I created a bank account, which was a big deal for me. And yeah, it still feels new. Like, I know it's the simplest thing. Like we were saying earlier, people open bank accounts every day or get cell phones every day, and it's like nothing new, but there's a sacredness that can be brought to that. And let me just hand it over to you, Gareth, and you can maybe open up the reflection.
Thanks, man. And yeah, thanks for sharing that. I think the conversation, in addition to sacredness, which we'll share more or less what we want to reflect on this, is also this process of decluttering, recognizing that in order for us to be able to call new things into our life, we need to energetically clear out anything that's related to what isn't what we're calling in. And so a simple example is if you're calling more financial flow into your life, but you haven't opened your credit card statement for the last 3 months and it's like this big monster sitting in the corner, you're going to have an uncomfortable relationship with money that needs to be decluttered physically. Go through your credit card statements, know how much you owe, have a plan, feel safe so that you can make space for more money to flow into your life, not just more flow in and I'll sort that out one day. It's like the decluttering has to happen first. And it's true with everything. It's true with a relationship as well. If you want to call in your life partner, but you're still sleeping with all of your exes and you haven't had hard conversations to properly close those containers off, you're leaking energy there in a way that you can't show up fully for this ideal partnership. So decluttering takes many different forms, but I wanted to, just use this as an opportunity to share. I've been with you as part of this journey, and I've had my own relationship with the financial system. I think traditional banking is rotten from the inside out. The financial system, I believe, is potentially on the edge of a complete overhaul. I think that overhaul might be painful for a lot of people. I'm not sure what it's going to look like, but I've had some resistance to this beast, and realized that if I want to call financial flow into my life and more abundance, I can't also be standing in opposition to my bank account or feeling anxious about my bank account. And the work for me and my reflection that I was going to share with you is, as you go into this new chapter, is to really recognize this as purely just a vehicle. It's just a space or a channel to be able to flow energy. And it doesn't make you a hero because you have a bank account with $1 million in. It also doesn't make you a loser because you've got minus 2,000 in your bank account. That's just numbers and a story. And recognizing the stories that we have about these parts of our lives, like a bank account, I think matter. And so the reflection that I was going to share with you, and we decided to do this live on this call, was take a moment and create a small ritual that really blesses this new vehicle as a pathway to abundance in your life, a pathway to flow energy that's going to support you as a father to create experiences, to invest in the things that help you be in service in the world and support your unique gift. Is a very different way to hold it than, oh, fuck, this is another bank account that's going to potentially open me up to whatever the story might be around that. Just find a space of sacredness and celebration around this mundane task of opening a bank account.
Yeah. Um, Thank you for that reflection. It's funny that you say all of that because when I was setting it up, my wife and I were actually having a similar conversation around when I open this, think about it as a flow of energy and a channel. And I ended up getting out my whiteboard and my pen, and I drew the flow of money. Like I've got my US bank account, I've got my PayPal, I've got my European, I've got my crypto. Like I drew sort of like a flow chart of how all of these connect, and like circled the new leg of the Wells Fargo bank account in the United States. And like, yeah, I did bring that intention. I brought that like this is going to flow these funds that are going to come in, that are going to pay my rent here in Ecuador, that are going to give me cash in my pocket so that I can buy groceries. Like I visualized the purity of that channel. And yeah, it feels good. So
Well done. Yeah, so the work is pretty much done there. It's the same. It's the same thing. It's like the way we've been understanding, learning about, and teaching manifestation is recognizing that things are really like more of a feeling than the thing itself. You may want $100,000, but actually you don't want $100,000. You want the spaciousness of not having to worry about paying rent, or the ability to be able to know that you can pay your team and or travel rather than the money. So you can start to get into a place where you start to feel those things. And like a bank account, you can start to feel ease and flow and grace, and take a pen out like you did and journal. This is for those listening that want to bring sacredness to something in your life, like a new bank account. I'll show you an example now with a new mobile phone that I got. But think about it like being in flow and, having a super easy relationship with it, that there's always great customer service for me, that my credit card always arrives on time. Like, just allow those to be a possibility, because there's a part of me that's like, fuck the bank, they never get back to me. And if you hold that lens, you tend to manifest that as your experience. And so in order to call in something new, it doesn't mean you're always going to have amazing service, but it means that at least you're setting the intention of how you want this part of your life to be. And this is the bringing of the sacredness. We don't spend a lot of time on this, but I've noticed in the places in my life where I have, things tend to flow. And this is why we talk about doing a pregame. It's almost like a pregame for your bank account. Like, how do I want this relationship to be? We're in relationship to everything in our lives. How do I want this relationship to be with this bank account? And we've also spoken about the analogy of having money as a lover. How are you with money? Are you the same way you are with a lover? And when I asked myself that question, it was really interesting because I feel like I'm quite cool and laid back and quite okay around women. But I noticed if I was to use money as a representation, there was a part of me that was a little bit greedy and a little bit like, I don't know, maybe creepy almost, like, just always wanting more, like not in my alignment with it. And so, yeah, just recognizing that we're in relationship to everything and just be cool with money the same as you would be with a lover. Like, do fun stuff, keep it flowing. Don't be too attached, don't be over identified with it. It doesn't make or break you. It's just money. It's just a lover. Using that analogy has been an important way for me to reflect on my relationship with money.
I love it. I love it. And as you were explaining that, I remembered that conversation we had. That was like 3 years ago when we were talking about money as a lover. And I remember I was so, like, I was resistant to it. I didn't want to even examine that piece of relating that I have in my life. And I forgot about that whole conversation. So it all came back to me in a wave. And I feel much more capable of holding it and doing that exercise now again, revisiting that at my present moment in life. Whereas before I think the rent at my apartment was $150 a month or something. It's like, so I had to get like 600 a month to stay where I was at. It was just holding on by a thread. That was about when I closed my US bank account too. So full circle.
So the same thing. I'll share this process that I just bought a new mobile phone, and maybe I can share the difference. Araminta seems to have a really weird relationship with technology. Like, we will have the same internet connection, the same laptop sitting next to one another. Hers is always hanging and not quite connecting, and she's always in this like state of mild anxiety around technology, where she's like continually expecting it to break, and somehow it continually breaks. Like, whereas I seem to have a lot more of a chilled relationship with technology, and my shit always works. Like, we'll start watching something on Netflix, her laptop like starts to hang, gets the little thing. It's newer than mine, but she just has really poor relationship with technology for whatever the reasons are. And I can't quite pinpoint it, but it does seem to be linked to some energetic underlying substrate of like, oh, fuck, this technology never works. What's happening? As opposed to me, which is like this new phone that I've, excuse this banging, they're building next door. So I
I
hope
can
this
barely hear it.
is right.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I bought a new device, and I did the same thing. I brought some sacredness to it, and I did a pregame for it, and just blessed the fact that this piece of kit is going to help me create content that shares our message with the world. You and I have conversations on it. It runs our business, it manages a remote team, tracks my finances. Like, there's so much fucking amazingness inside this piece of technology that it makes sense that I would get this new piece of tech. I want to set it up well, and just the same as your bank account, it's like, I just want this thing to run well and smoothly and take amazing photos and create amazing content and just work and show up. And I find that when I do that, it does tend to go a little bit easier, and things tend to work in a way that I'm not really seeing with Araminta. And I reflected to her, but
Oh, great.
there's something there. Yeah.
Does Minta listen to the podcast? Does she catch an episode here and there?
I don't think so. Yeah, I'm pretty safe. I'll tell her though.
No, it's all. I think you're in the clear on what was disclosed here, and I want to jump in on your new phone real quick and give some unsolicited advice. And this goes for also all the dads out there who have toddlers and babies. Switch your phone to black and white, bro. It's surprisingly challenging to do on a lot of phones because the phone manufacturers want you to stay engaged through the color schemes that they're pumping through those screens. But I have switched my phone to black and white for over 2 years now, and my relationship with technology has fully changed. And my 2-year-old son loves my wife's phone way more than mine because it has those
So
colors and has
interesting.
that engagement. And so we're all subject to that by staring at these screens. And you can accomplish almost everything you need to on a black and white screen without
Amazing.
missing a beat. So
Again, it's the relationship that we have with technology. How is your relationship with the screen? Like, are you there all the time? Do you give yourself healthy breaks? Like, that's really powerful. What do you notice about changing it to black and white in your experience?
well, I noticed going to sleep is a lot easier. Like I can start reading something on my phone and just pass out reading it, whereas before I would feel more drawn into it.
Interesting.
And I'm not on social media much anyway, but social media is a lot less interesting in black and white. And
Yeah.
so like it's just it's less of that drug that it's that it is to a lot of people, right? Like opening up and seeing these amazing photos that
Uh-huh. all edited and filtered.
Yeah, and it's not like we take a photo with our iPhone now, and the iPhone color scheme changes it to look
I
more impressive
know,
than the real life
I
image.
know.
Like then my eyes see it, and it's like there's something not right here. And so I don't have the I don't have a full perspective of sharing it, but I see
Yeah,
that the black and white method is a way of opting out of that in a way that's really supportive.
yeah. Bringing awareness to that, I heard that on TikTok they apparently applied by default to every single video made on TikTok a 5% beauty filter, meaning doesn't matter what you shoot, you look 5% better on that platform than you do on Instagram. You can only imagine what the next gameplay is for Meta is to be like, okay, let's do 7.5%, so you look even better on. Eventually, we're not even going to look like ourselves anymore. It's wild.
Uh-oh, I had a gap in sound. Did I lose you,
No,
Gareth?
I got you.
Okay, good. Uh,
Okay,
well,
bro, that's sacredness in the mundane. What else have we got in this post game episode?
well, bro, we've got a few things we want to get into. Let's talk about doing hard things. We've got the King Circle coming up. We That's going to be happening on the 31st, I believe,
31st, last Sunday of the month, yeah.
last Sunday of the month, and we're going to be diving into doing hard things and examining that part of our world. And last year at this time, you did the 4x4x48.
Yeah, around this exact theme. And yeah, that I don't know. I've always just had this ability to do challenges in my life, and I was going to do this David Goggins 4 miles every 4 hours for 48 hours with my friend Gareth, who at the time was about to become a new dad, and we didn't end up. He wasn't able to train enough in order to do it. So anyway, I went through the process of doing this, but a couple of things came out for me around that. One of them was a really good friend of mine reflected to me a couple of weeks later when things had like gone a little bit wobbly with business and some money stuff had come up, and he noticed how calm I was as a result of it, and he said, you're just like that because you chose your hard. And I was like, what do you mean? And he's like, well, life's going to send hard things to you. You have the ability to choose what's difficult, and when you do that, life becomes easier. And so we started this conversation off by talking about having conversations with our partners that sometimes feel hard. So having a conversation with Araminta about something that's triggering me is hard. But not having the conversation and having an unstable relationship where she doesn't know what's up is also hard, an unstable relationship where you're continually not connected. Getting on the meditation cushion every morning is hard. But being swayed by the world because you haven't got your mental wits about you when life sends you challenges is also difficult. And there's this analogy that you can choose your hard and cultivate a practice of doing hard things like meditating, like having hard conversations, like exercising, for example, so that life becomes easier. And so that's the theme of what we're going to be unpacking, as well as a practical process that you can use inside King Circle 22, which is coming up at the end of the month.
And we've got our current road to 10,000. I'm just going to update the world on that. We are at 329. And when I pulled up that number and looked at it today, I realized we're like a third of the way to 1,000, which is
Share
a
what the road
tenth
to
of the way
10,000
to
is.
10,000. So the road to 10,000 is a goal that Gareth and I are calling in and manifesting that involves the number of men we get to sit at a King Circle, at a tribe gathering, at any of the men's events that we're putting together. And the road to 10,000 is our tracking of that number as we get to 10,000 men. And yeah, we update it every time we have a gathering, and that's where we're at. 329, baby.
329. Yeah, it feels amazing. And yeah, just so grateful for that. We also take a photo of all the men that show up on our road to 10,000. And we're building out this collage of images of all these amazing men that are showing up and doing the work and becoming part of this tribe that we spoke about at the beginning of this conversation, which are, we have this idea of the King Circle, recognizing that we're sitting in a circle. There's no hierarchy inside our tribe. Matt and I create the space, and I'm facilitating the circle, but in many ways, the conversation unfolds as a function of the fact that we're all sitting in a circle with nobody above or below anybody else. The technology of a sacred men's circle is just that. You create a safe space with some agreement frames and a willingness to want to show up for what's genuinely alive inside that container, and it unfolds on its own. And so, yeah, our view to have 10,000 men in a men's circle means that there have been an exponential number of connections that have happened as a result of men that have sat in circle with other men and practiced the skill of being able to talk about what's alive for them in every single moment. And that feels like it. Like we're doing this work because we've seen the benefit of that practice in our own lives. And that's our mission. That's why we've called to serve the way that we are at the moment, because I think that's a way through for many men. And we've lost contact with that, and we've lost opportunity to be able to receive the sacred reflection from our brothers in whatever's alive for us, whether it's relationship challenges, money challenges, celebrating our wins, a brand new business deal, a new relationship. Be with all of it, and don't pretend that the bad stuff isn't there, and create a space to be able to really celebrate and share our journeys together. So yeah, stoked to have our road to 10,000 number growing each week, and yeah, excited to bring more men into the circle on the 31st.
I'm curious to see how many men who we've only met digitally are going to be live in Guatemala at the Call to Courage retreat. I know Brian will be there because he is co-hosting and co-facilitating with you, but maybe you want to share a little bit about what's going on and coming up that.
So the Call to Courage retreat is a passion project for me to do two things: to hang out with men that I really love in this tribe. And this is the beauty of being able to do this work, is this is what we're building. And I'm building a tribe of men that I actually want to be surrounded by and hang out with. So this is an opportunity for us to meet in person. We love the digital, and we have this analogy in our business of expanding in the digital through online events and our WhatsApp group and the podcast. But anchoring in the physical is also an important part of what we're building, meaning you can't replace the magic of actually sitting around a fire with another brother, having a men's circle once a week in your own community, or joining us for an in-person retreat in Guatemala. The opportunity to be in person with somebody else is really, really powerful. So the Call to Courage retreat is an opportunity for a maximum of 10 people to join us at a circle in Guatemala. We've rented this beautiful villa on the lakes, shore of Lake Atitlan, where I live. I think it's the most beautiful lake in the world. And it's an opportunity for us to come together as men to create a journey of 5 days where we get to sit in a circle together and share our perspectives of what it is that we're calling into our lives, and hold one another accountable to do that. So 5 days of unpacking where it is that we want to show up for. We're calling it the second mountain. It's the journey that you've been on where you've ticked all of the boxes, made a success of your life. Maybe you're already on the parenting husband journey, but you feel like there's more to give in this next phase of your life, and you're wondering what that is. This is an incubator for us to come together and see what that is, and really a process to reflect to one another what it is that we're being called to do, and then leave the retreat with a plan of how to actually roll that out in your life. So it's going to be a beautiful combination of rest and relaxation in luxury, some challenge, um, some magical adventure, paddleboarding on the lake, cliff jumping, cold plunging, trail runs. It's going to be super, super epic. And healthy brotherhood, just developing strong bonds in the 3D with men that are part of this tribe. So all of those wrapped up with my deep desire to want to share this beautiful land of Guatemala with men that I love is some of the magic that's going to be at the Call to Courage retreat. And so we've launched the retreat. At this stage, we're only leaving invitations available to tribe members. And in the next 10 days, that they will have had the opportunity to respond to that invitation, and then we'll open it up to the world. So those that are part of the tribe get first opportunity to come and train with us in person here in Guatemala.
Well, it's going to be epic, bro. It's
Yeah,
in July. Yeah, do we have the solid dates?
we do. The 23rd till the 28th of July on Lake Atitlan. We will be sending out email details. It'll also be on all of our socials. And as soon as that comes up, if you're inside our WhatsApp group, we'll put a link below this video. Make sure you're in the WhatsApp group. When we launch it to the wider community, you can get an invitation there. And yeah, maybe we'll see you in person here in Guatemala.
Well, brother, we've got other stuff to talk about. One thing is mentorship. You have recently taken on a mentor. And at the same time, I've got my dad coming for a visit in a couple weeks, and I plan to drop in with him about mentorship because he actively mentors as many as 20 young men and women who are coming up in the business world in the United States, and I haven't really dropped in with them deeply about it, but our conversations around mentorship have like illuminated that for me, like how strong a resource he is in figuring out his systems and the way he does things. I've never really explored it with him yet.
Are you feeling like engaging with him and potentially exploring if there's an opportunity for him to mentor you?
No, not so much that, but to understand his journey with mentorship. I think taking on a mentee is something that I'm open to, as well as finding my own mentor. I don't have either of those relationships right now, and I've I've been circling an idea of reaching out to the son of an old friend and making him my reverse mentor, which is where you grab someone who's substantially younger than you to mentor you around the technology and the ways of life that we can become blind to as we get older. And so,
Mm.
yeah, that's been alive for me. And so I know that you've been on a bit of a more professional route there as far as the mentorship goes, and we haven't really unpacked that. So tell me a bit about that.
Yeah, I think this is one of the challenges of men in middle age, like you're not in eldership yet and you're not a kid anymore. You're sort of in the stage of stepping into king and recognizing that at some level you do have both of these roles to play, like a space to be able to tap into your elders and find a mentor that can support you, someone that's walked the path before you that can help you with some of the challenges that you may not be privy to as a newbie on whatever the path is. But also, as you said, recognizing that in some way we're getting more and more disconnected from the generation below us, and to be connected into them creates a powerful space, because I think there's gifts for us at all ages, meaning there's an exuberance and a newness that comes from having a reverse mentee that connects you into a world and a way of being that we're not connected to anymore. At the same time, recognizing that there's wisdom from our elders, and continually cultivating relationships in both directions is super powerful. And John Sane has been talking a lot about a reverse mentee. He's a futurist and says, if you want to stay current, you've got to have people younger than you. And I've noticed some resistance. There's a part of me that's like, ugh. For example, we were on the boat and we'd been in this flow for like 2 or 3 days, just the seven of us on the boat. And then we pulled up next to another boat and these youngsters arrived with like super fresh, different energy. And a part of me was just like, oh, fuck. I don't feel like hanging out with these dudes. They were like just at a different level. And a part of it hit me pretty hard. So, yeah, I notice I have some resistance to a reverse mentee relationship. And maybe I'll meditate on it and put it down as something to consider. But yeah, recognizing that we're looking to scale the Father, Sons, Brothers brand. And part of that journey is wanting to be connected to someone that scaled a business in a way that we want to already, so that we can ask the questions about what should we be doing? What are my ceilings, self-imposed ceilings about what I think this business could look like? I want to be with someone that's built a business that's done, 5, 10, 15, $20 million a year. And yeah, reached out to a brother that I met at a retreat that Araminta and Des were facilitating in Italy probably 4 years ago. And yeah, amazing brother. He recently came through Guatemala with his daughter to study Spanish, and we connected. And he's sort of semi-retired and placed a CEO in his business, and he's now living in South Africa. But I just reached out to him and I was like, listen, I really want a space to connect about stuff and receive reflection on my journey as a entrepreneur scaling this business from somebody that's absolutely not in the business. You and I are so stuck in the details and the day-to-day strategy that we don't always have the perspective and foresight to see what we don't see. Plus, I haven't built a business at scale that he has. And so, yeah, it just makes sense to have somebody there to be able to be like a sounding board. And realizing as well, this is something we're going to teach in the retreat that we just spoke about now, the Call to Courage retreat, is that transformational leaders recognize that their capacity to show up and be in service is a function of the support team that you have around you. Leadership is about relationship, and you can only do so much with the number of hours you have in your day. And if you want to make a bigger impact, it's really about building a stronger team that you can trust to be able to lead. And part of that journey is being supported in the spaces that you don't have skills, recognizing where you don't have skills, recognizing where you perhaps haven't walked this path before, and then seeking out the people that can support you there is what leadership is about, to be able to receive those reflections and continually evolve and grow as a leader, build a team around you of the skills that you don't have, so that you get the job done quicker and maybe more efficiently. I think that's the superpower that I'm working on developing in my own life, recognizing what don't I like to do, where my blind spots and who's helping me keep an eye on those seems to be the journey.
Well, I'm glad we're getting into it. I've always pictured part of the father, sons, brothers organism evolving into some sort of matchmaking around mentorship, maybe at some capacity. I feel like that's, yeah. We touched on it before around how part of what we're doing is bringing together future leaders when we were doing our brand refresh.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, like everything that you spoke about just there, like having someone who's been there before to shape you as you step into this really pivotal moment. And yeah, we should all be doing that.
Maybe you want to talk about level up partners because maybe the theme of what we're building at Fathers, Sons, Brothers would also resonate with anybody listening to this episode that is perhaps already in a space where you're serving men. Maybe it's a leadership role, maybe it's as a consultant, maybe it's holding men's circles or something like that. But maybe sharing our vision of collaboration versus competition and what we're calling in for men to be level up partners in our tribe and what those opportunities are.
Well, it definitely starts with collaboration over competition. Once we figured that one out, I think you and I both figured that one out individually before we met, but it was a game changer, right? Like no longer seeing everybody else with a similar business as competition, but as an opportunity to collaborate because, yeah, we're all reaching men at pivotal points in their lives if we're doing men's work. And the work can come in different forms. It can be like what Gareth and I are doing, bringing men together. It can be teaching breath work or um, mentoring, menteeing, physical body stuff, mind, all the different things that we do. And, well, let me take a step back. Our business model involves getting men together every month at the King Circle. And that's a gathering of men who get together, who speak their truth, who stand in their authenticity. And we have our circle. It's a 2-hour live event. And there's a teaching section in the middle of that to break the sharing and to level up a specific part of our lives, of our lifestyle design. And we invite uh, experts in their field to come in and help our community level up a piece of our lives, whether that's in knowledge or in a practical tool or a system that can be installed into our lives. And the audience that we have there is a captive audience of men who have said yes to doing the work. They're showing up, they're spending 2 hours on their Sunday to show up, speak their truth, and improve themselves. And it's an incredible incubator for us to birth these incredible ideas that we're all bringing to the world. And so the invite is, if you're still listening to this podcast and you've been following what we're doing and you're bringing your own gifts to the world in your own way, in your own business, whatever that may be, and you see alignment with this and what we're doing, reach out and let's have a conversation, because we've intentionally created this space so that we can use it to partner with other men who are doing this work and helping all the brothers out there in the world step into a better version of themselves. And so, yeah, the way to do that is, what is the best way to do that, Gareth? Is that going to be in the
I think
WhatsApp
join the
group?
WhatsApp group. We'll put a link to
Yeah.
the WhatsApp group below here. Our WhatsApp group is our free sort of outer ring of community men that are interested in having conversations like this, installing some tools and some practical tips around, like Matt said, breath work, tracking your relationship with your finances, how to be a better leader. And yeah, I think just to underscore what Matt was saying there is that I think this is also anchored in the realization that we would be able to build, and we're building something much more expansive, more beautiful, more complete by co-creating with other men who have skills in areas that we don't have, and recognizing that we don't have to compete with one another. We come together. We've got Leonard Lowe in there. The man has got his own community of men that are walking the path of understanding how to transmute sexual energy and going on a journey with ejaculatory choice. Like, it's a powerful, powerful skill. He's my mentor in that particular area of my life, like a sex coach. I want him to be part of it and sharing his magic with our community as well, because he's the person to do that. We got Alok Rochelet, who's a movement specialist. He must bring his gifts to this container and support the men in a way that I would rather be studying with him and sharing my relationship tools. And we're going to create a better experience for our tribe when we co-create with other men that have got different skills although there's a version of me from the past that would be like, oh, we can't create with him because he's got a competing business.
Yeah,
Like that
exactly.
mindset shift is the collaboration over competition piece. And yeah, just recognizing we're going to build something better together. And as Matt said, if you are wanting to serve men, whether you already have an existing audience or want to bring something to the world, reach out through the WhatsApp group, because the opportunity to share some of your expertise and practice teaching inside an environment like the King Circle is an opportunity for you, but it's also a powerful opportunity for you to share your gifts with the men that are part of that circle. And you and I love holding that circle, and we want other people to come in. We want this to be a circle. I don't want it to be the Gareth and Matt show, because, as I said, there's better opportunity to create a more holistic experience by co-creating with others. Very good. Very good.
I got to work on my transitions here. I'm technically hosting this podcast, everybody. So,
Yeah, it's been a while since we've done it. I've really enjoyed this conversation, dude. It feels good to be here, and yeah, dropping into our mission and our promise for this community. I'm really fucking proud of what we're creating. We won't go into all of this, but behind the scenes, we've got a whole team of people producing the podcast every single week, creating systems and processes and all the infrastructure that's required to build a rapidly growing menswear brand. And yeah, it's really fucking exciting, and I'm really proud of what we're doing. It feels really aligned to this ikigai piece. Like, what does the world need? What do I love to do? And what could I get paid to do? Yeah, it just feels like it hits all of those points for me, that those concentric circles that you find the middle piece that's like, this is it. And so, yeah, while it hasn't always been a smooth journey, it really does feel right. And I think landing the King Circle again, 22 King Circles, another episode of the podcast released this week, episode 34 with David Charles. Fucking amazing conversation. I'll link that up in the show notes as well. Yeah, landing the Call to Courage men's retreat. Tribe is growing. That's our premium men's membership. We haven't even spoken about that, but yeah, 15 men inside that commitment. Actually, 16 now. We had someone else sign up who we don't know. So like, there's a lot of movement happening, and I'm really excited with how it's going. And I think there's a couple pieces, but I think I also want to say that you and I have been putting in the work to do a lot of the decluttering that was required in order for us to create this flow and be in the place that we're in the moment. So I just want to say thank you for that. And we started this conversation by talking about money and the decluttering that's required there. And yeah, I see you doing it, bro. So thank you for that.
thank you, bro.
Yeah, man.
Well, how should we end this? Jazz hands?
It's not so exciting for those that are just listening to the audio version. Maybe you should make a sound with the jazz hands.
Maybe, maybe. All right, y'all.
So good to
Thank
be
you
here, brother.
for
Thank you
paying
so much
attention.
for holding this. And for those that are part of the tribe listening to this, Matt's going to be hosting our tribe gathering tomorrow. This is in addition to the King Circle. Men that are part of the Father, Sons, Brothers tribe have an additional gathering once a month where we go super deep, and we do hot seat coaching. We unpack the theme of the month in a bit more detail. And the power of that circle is getting super strong because it's men that continually show up month after month. They also see each other in the King Circle, and the collective intelligence of that gathering is really starting to get super powerful. So stoked to be in that circle with you tomorrow, bro.
An emotional intelligence mastermind circle.
Yes, sir. Boom, boom. Good to see you, brother. Thanks for checking out this episode, and all of the links that we spoke about, including the link to the WhatsApp group in the King Circle, will be in the show notes or description of this podcast. And we will see you in the next episode.
Thanks, Gareth. See you guys.
Cheers, boy.